Hi friends, I'm back on my channel. Today is African Day, which is 25th May 2020, and I would like you to listen and move closer and pay attention to 10 things to know about Africa Day 2020. Celebration on May 25th, crowned as Africa Day, recite the annual commemoration of African independence, freedom, and liberation strives from colonial imperialists. The reinforcement of this liberation was the first union of African countries in African soil, the foundation of the regional integration body, the Organization of African Unity, OAU, on May 25, 1963, which is 38 years later, evolved into African Union, which is AU. Today, the Continental Organization celebrates 54 years of determined effort for unity among the African people and socio-economic freedom from foreign dominion and exploitation. These are the top 10 things to know about Africa Day. Inspired by Ghana independence, the end of the World War II saw exceeding effort from Africans over the process of decolonization of African continent for more political rights and independence from colonial rule, thus between 1945 to 1965. A significant number of African countries gained independence from European colonial power, with Ghana becoming the first African country in the south of the Sahara gaining its independence on March 6, 1957, under the leadership of Kwame Nkrumah. Ghana independence therein served as an inspiration to other African countries fighting against colonial rule, and Ghana played a central role in this objective. A year after its independence, Ghana convened the first Conference of Independent African States on April 15, 1958. African countries in attendance included Ethiopia, Libya, Sudan, Liberia, Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, amongst others, with representatives of the National Liberation Front of Algeria and Union of Cameroonian People. The conference was a collective platform of the explicit assertion of African rejection of colonial and imperialist domination of the continent, becoming the first Pan-African Liberation Conference to be held on the continent, bringing together various African countries. Further at the meeting, the first African Freedom Day was celebrated, which was later recognized as Africa Day. The second one was, may this Convention of African Union last 1,000 years. The 5 years later, on May 25, 1963, following the sentiment of the conference held in Ghana, the Organization of African Union, OAU, was formed in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, hosted by Emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie. The OAU was formed in a meeting seating over 30 African nations, with the aim to influence the decolonization of African countries including Angola, South Africa, Mozambique, and Southern Rhodesia. The organization convened to support freedom fighters and remove military access to colonial nation. And charter was established to improve the livelihood of member states across Africa, where Selassie pledged, "May this convention of union last 1,000 years." The third one, common African unity and identity. The first Conference of Independent African States convened on April 15th, 1958 in Ghana and further encouraged and stamped a common African identity of unity and fighting against colonialism. The conference further called for the observance of African Freedom Day once a year to mark the onward progress of liberation movement and to symbolize the determination of the people of Africa to free themselves from foreign domination and exploitation. April 15 was therein enacted as African Freedom Day of African Liberation Day, and countries all over the continent celebrate and mark commemoration each year, with South Africa celebrating its Freedom Day on April 27th of each year at the formation of OAU on 25th May 1963. This marked the beginning of what would later be known as African Day. Succeeding to the African Conference of All People Conference, AAPC, was held on December 8th through 13, 1958 in African Ghana. The AAPC was attended by both independent and then non-independent countries, including representatives of liberation movement. The fourth one, South Africa Rise in African Union. From South Africa, the Liberation Party against apartheid ruled the African National Congress, ANC, could not formally attend the first Conference of Independent African States in Ghana, as it was prevented by ruling apartheid government. However, memorandum was sent to the conference on behalf of the party, was a member of the ANC in the Transvaal, and a 1956 transcendentalist, Alfred Hodgson, who left the country after his acquittal and attended the AAPC All African People Conference, which was held a few months later. The fifth one, the development of African Union. At the African Union, which is AU, 58th anniversary celebrated in 2003. AU Commission Chairperson Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, the first woman chair of the AU Commission, the AU administrative arm, spearheaded the launch of Agenda 2063, a long-year vision of where Africa should be in 50 years. Great development were seen. Themes are often set for each year African Day commemoration, with most notable theme being 2015 being the year of women empowerment and development towards Africa agenda. The sixth one, women empowerment in the African Union. Upon welcoming the sitting of Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma as the first woman chair of the UA Commission, many argued that the continent was not ready for a woman to take the post. However, Dlamini Zuma managed leap in her tenure and has cracked the assumption that women are incapable of being involved in the continental organization. Seventh one, continent-wide disease control and prevention. January of 2017 marked the launch of the African continent-wide public health agency. The African Center of Disease Control and Prevention, African CDC, which was established to help African member states of the African Union to respond to public health emergencies. The African Union Assembly of Head of State authorized an annual contribution from the overall African Union operating budget for 2016 to safeguard African health, seeing the importance of public as an impactful element on national, social, and economic development. 8.1 African Day as a public day. African Day continues to be celebrated both in Africa and around the world, mostly on May 25th since the sitting of the first conference in 1963. Some of the part continent and throughout the world enjoy longer periods of celebration stretch over a number of days or weeks depending on the program at hand. The 9.1 African Day celebration. The theme of 2020 African Day commemoration is silencing the guns, creating conducive conditions for Africa development and intensifying the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. This theme was selected to emphasize the significance of having African unity to recommit the continent towards a common destiny. Given the ongoing COVID-19 outbreak, most celebration for African Day will be virtual owing to social distancing measures and national lockdown, which have been enforced in numerous African countries. Perhaps one of the biggest events set to take place in Africa is the Africa Day Benefit Concert at Home, which will be hosted by Idris Elba. The concert, which is featured artists such as Angelique Kidjo, Sauti Soul, Burna Boy aka and many others, is set to be streamed on MTV-based platform. The aim of raising funds to help in the continued fight against COVID-19 in Africa. Member states across the continent emphasize the founding objective to the formation of Africa and remembering the effort of the member states in their life fight for freedom and unity. Each year, a number of different initiatives, celebration, and commemoration are being enacted all over Africa and the rest of the world, marking the relevance of African Day in our lives today. Silencing the Gun, African Day Team 2020. African Day in May 25, 2020 will be celebrated across the whole continent. The month is an opportunity to promote African unity, deeper regional integration, and recommit Africa to a common destiny. Planned activities over the month will culminate with Africa Day celebration on 25th May 2019. The annual commemoration of Africa Day marks the founding of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, in 1963. This year's celebration will happen virtually and online due to the massive impact of COVID-19 on the continent and the world under the theme Silencing the Guns, creating conducive conditions for African development and intensifying the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. YouTube and MTV-based African present African Day Benefit Concert at Home. Now, thank you all. May the Lord bless African Union and all African, every part of the world. Amen.
Base present the Africa Day benefit concert at home, hosted by Idris Alba and featuring the biggest stars from across the continent. Adekunle Gold, aka Angelique Kidjo, Bebe Cool, Burna Boy, Usiswa, C4 Pedro, Davido, Diamond Platinums, DJ Maporisa and Kabza De Small, Fali Ipupa, Manifest, Nandi, Global Youth Choir, Nasty C, Niniola, Ricardo Banks, Salif Keita, Sauti Soul, Sheun Kuti, Shoma Josie, Stoneboy, Tenny, Tiwa Savage, Tufan and Yemi Alade. Featuring appearances by Anthony Hamilton, Fat Joe, French Montana, Ludacris, Nomza Mombata, Omari Hardwick, Pearl Tusi, Rotimi, Sean Paul, Serge Ibaka, Trevor Noah, Vanessa Mdee, Winston Duke, and Zozibini Tunzi. Join us in the ultimate global celebration of Africa Day. The Africa Day benefit concert at home, streaming on YouTube and broadcasting on MTV Base on the 25th of May. Africa, our time is now.